of racing action. A 40-minute race set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers. Have to worry about the pit stop. Inside your screen switched his attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out, the drivers are on their way. Locked at this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area. He's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. These drives very early on into this race. Look at Daniel Wood on a big crash heading through turn number 1. That's chasing that turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it. That's going to be at Gallup. But Marty's still allowing some room coming out of the corner. The side-by-side going up the hill through turn number 6. Spade coming out of the corner. Walker, the Canadian, in the number 96. They are banging doors, heading into the braking time for the final time. They're linked together. That or you put a qualifying fuel load in either way. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when Yanchi wins.
I don't know what to say. There's Brett Cameron upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 2 of this season, coming to you today from Magny Cours. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell, and in the virtual production hauler, we have Guido Marzucchi. Wow, what an odd racetrack. We have never been here before. We've been here so many times this weekend, the 3rd broadcast in a row here on SMB that we're running at Magny Cours. A lot of these drivers that you see out there on the racetrack were running either in the Formula Ford race earlier on today or the Spec, not the Spec Racer, certainly running in the Spec Racer Fords if they're in this session, running in the Formula Fords earlier on today and the Formula Vs yesterday. So this is about as unknown of a quantity as Times Square in New York City.
Yeah, same song, 3rd verse today for this event. So yeah, a lot of the same drivers that we talked about, a couple hours ago, back out here again. We've got some new guys out here that are out here running the Spec Racers that are old faithful as far as the the Spec Racer Fords and Weekend Warriors are concerned. So yeah, just same track, different car. Obviously, these cars are about the same pace as the Formula Fords, but obviously very different configurations. Still mainly mechanical grip. However, big body means there's going to be the opportunities for some more side-by-side racing, and already seeing gravel on the track, so that's going to be a factor as well.
Yeah, everyone's favorite iRacing door wedge can produce some very good racing, and I have a feeling that here with this track with some rather long flat-out blasts, we may end up seeing a big game of leapfrog all throughout today's race, and certainly seeing some close times here in this qualifying session. Jason Green finds himself on the provisional pole at the moment in the 160 machine, saying a 1:52.271 in the process. Murtio Nazelli set to join him on the front row provisionally, albeit we still have about half of this qualifying session left to go, so I have a feeling that will change. And as I say that, Felix Samoa's off the back of a win in the Formula Fords earlier on, jumping up to that front row. So those two sparring partners from that Formula Ford race earlier on coming back for round 2 at the SRFs.
Yeah, they seem like that they've got warmed up for today. So yeah, you've got some good pace in those two cars. Hey, if we get a battle that we had in the Formula Ford race, I'll be a very happy man. It'll be a great way to end the day today.
Yeah, that would be a very fun day for this to go on right now. And I think as we are going about this, let's do an onboard lap with Rasmus Vori in the number 24 car. Just saw him has way off through 1 and 2, now through turn number 3 of Estoril. It's, I think, a bit of an insult to that corner, the fact they named it Estoril, because that track is one that I'm very happy is not on iRacing. I'll just leave it at that. Heading down this back straightaway through Gulf of turn number 4, now into the Adelaide hairpin at turn 5. I called my shot during the Formula Ford race earlier on, and I'm going to stick to my guns, no pun intended. Turn 5, lap 1 here in the Spec Racer Ford race. That is not going to be a very festive occasion. You can see the track on the outside of there being peppered with gravel. Can't even imagine that's going to be for the end of this race. This is the Nürburgring section 7 and 8, taking a lot more liberties with those curbs. That is for certain. Vori using a lot of that inside curb through turn number 7. May have to bring up that off-track and track limit discussion, which, hey, it's racing and track limits, everyone's favorites. Oh boy, wee-haw! That was a painful voice crack. Holy cow! I apologize to any dogs that just exploded upon hearing that. This is a flat-out blast into 12 and 13. This is the MLS section. More inside curb wax. Vori looking to try and shave off as many feet and inches off his lap time as he can possibly manage. Off through turn 14, which was certainly calamity corner in the Formula Fords earlier on. I have a feeling that here in the Spec Racer Fords it is going to be no different, staying tight to that inside off through this flat out blast. I will raise it again. That corner not numbered, but it is called chicane. It will be a chicken if you lift out of there. Here is the chicane of 16 and 17. Saw the drivers taking the bunny hop strategy, heading off through there, and didn't work out for Vori as he found himself just barely inside the top 10 because of a penalty, but that will do it for the track guide.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, you're right. Turn 14, we saw that in the Formula Ford race a little bit earlier. Seemed to have some people struggle a little bit. It was catching some people out from either braking or as they got back on throttle, just kind of getting wide on exit and scrubbing off some speed. And I absolutely want to keep the pace up in your car. The differences, obviously, we talked about a little bit, but you know, we talked with Felix Amos at the end of the race, and he said the draft wasn't working very well for the Formula Fords. I think that's not going to be the issue with the Spec Racers. I think these cars draft really, really well. So I think you're going to see a lot more passing amongst the groups that are out there battling, just simply because I think that they're going to be able to make up several tenths of a second down these long straightaways.
One thing to raise about these Spec Racer Fords, it is, as much as it's a matter of tenths, you can lose out on a boatload of time if you just go a couple of feet a little bit wide heading through some of these corners. And oh boy, that's speaking of running wide, Daniel Case getting a treatment of the gravel slip and slide coming at turn 14. I don't know what it is about that corner. It was one of the latest alterations made to this track back in the early 2000s. That corner used to be a little bit more rounded off, but clearly turn 14 not being an iRacer's favorite here today in the Weekend Warriors. And as Felix Amos jumps up to the provisional pole as a reigning champion, I think it'll be a good time to take a look at the point standings as it stands at the moment. We're only one race into this season, but saw some very good racing 1 week ago, staying in France with a race at Lebanon 1 week ago. And it was Maurizio Nazelli grabbing the win when everything was said and done. The driver of the 44 car was victorious at Lebanon. He was joined to the front by Rasmus Vori in that number 24 car. Jason Green, who was involved in that championship battle with Felix Samoas, rounds out your top 3. Samoas all the way down at 10th after a rather disappointing run at Lebanon. Here's how it looks in Spec 2, a lot closer with Andrew Love at the front, Paolo Brema right behind him in second. 8 Allen rounding out your top 3 in the Spec 2 category. Still rather close there. I mean, we're only one race in. It should be expected. Meanwhile, in the Masters category, rather odd to see Jörg Magny just not out there, period. He was not present for the last race of the championship at Lebanon. Was a little little bit whooped after the Formula Ford race earlier on that day. So was not out on track for the opening race of this season. Try saying that 5 times fast. It's easy. I just got my tongue wrapped around my teeth about 5 times, but that's how it looks in the Masters class. Looking through, Monty's currently on the provisional pole in the Masters category. Andre Favini is currently classed in 10th, and Felix Samoa is on the provisional pole, looking to have comeback after that slightly disappointing race meeting 1 week ago.
Yeah, I think Felix obviously is very adept in this car. He's been driving it seemingly forever. Really enjoys coming out here. As we see Jason Green on his tail, running a little wide there out of the corner. So yeah, you're talking about basically 2/10, or sorry, a little over a tenth separating P1 to P3, and there's just so tight in the midfield of this pack here. Jorg Monty down to let's see, Daniel Case. So P8 to P19s within a second of each other. It's going to be a standard fare for the Spec racers. Is these cars qualifying is usually fairly close amongst everyone out there, and then the racing is even that much more close. It's fierce racing. But it's fair racing, so this is one of the reasons I enjoy doing the Weekend Warriors. This community is just fantastic, and they do a lot of racing together, and they know each other very well, and it's all, like I said, it's always clean racing when we're doing the Weekend Warriors broadcasts.
Yeah, that's one great thing about the Weekend Warriors. They can put on some fantastic racing, but it's always clean at the end of it. I mean, we saw that get put on full display with the Formula Fords earlier on. Those drivers covered by practically nothing towards the end, and going side by side, heading off through the chicane, which, I mean, let's face it, side by side through the chicane around here is, I think I said this earlier on during that broadcast, it's like trying to manage a bowling alley in space. It's not very easy heading off through that section side by side. They were able to do it, that being Jason Green and Rasmus Fiore. Granted, they both picked up slowdowns that they were unable to serve before they crossed that start-finish line, so they got whacked with some pretty substantial penalties. But the fact they were able to go through that section side by side and were able to tell the tale shows you how talented these racers are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like I said, it's always these racers have been racing together. I mean, I've been doing broadcasts both here and in other locations for the Weekend Warriors for almost 3 years now, and there's a core group of guys that are here week in and week out, and girls. We won't take Michelle Lynn or Megan Overstreet. I haven't seen in a while. So we won't take them out because they're out here when they can, doing the racing as well. So it's always fun to come watch these, and like I said, it's a very tight knit group of racers, and they always put on a good show. And at the end of the day, if there's some bad feelings, they usually get sorted out, and then we're back again next week.
Yeah, these drivers have a fantastic ability to kind of let stuff go, kind of let bygones be bygones, and just move on with the rest of your season, which, I mean, let's face it, in a series like this, where we've got 12 races following the official schedule, it takes a little while to get to the end of that season. So there's no point getting hung up on stuff for too terribly longer than you have to. As we see Andre Favini currently classed in P11. He is not your Spec 2 pole sitters. He's a Spec 1 racer, the number 27. Daniel Case instead is your pole sitter in that category. As you see Kane Lasky in the Flower Power car. Knowing my luck, though, my paint schemes are probably wildly out of date. But that's how it's looking like on my screen. I may need to load up trading paints to make sure that's 100% correct. But he has run that Flower Power car in the past, and it's always a rather striking paint scheme. Part of many fantastic paint schemes, must be said, here in the Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Kane's been running that for a while, and he's having a good qualifying, up in 7th place. Had a really good run up through the field in the Formula Ford. So he's going to get him a better. Oh, as we see Naselli taking too much curb there, jumping the curb, bouncing the car around, and then backing into the wall. As qualifying now comes to an end, Trenton Kramer in the gravel trap. Looked like he had a little excursion. Dan Witzak is going to be up there, and so we got him listed as Spec 1. So yeah, so 17th overall. He's going to have a little bit of work to do to try and get up to the top 10. On board here with Brad Gould as qualifying is winding down. I think these cars that are out there now, this will be their last lap. That was, I don't know, is that an off track? That looked like he was all four on the inside of the red and white curb. So I'm based on the fact that he's off in the exit there. Yeah, I think that may be lap over for him.
I think it was testing off the runoff area. That area, I believe, is the section where the motorcycle racers have to serve kind of like a penalty, like Joker lap thing. Yeah, I think that may be it. That, or it just sort of looks like it, and they just have those painted lines there for shots and goggles, which, I mean, hey, there's been some stuff that's been done over the years that has certainly been added into troll broadcasters, I feel. But as we saw, Brad Gould there, should be noted, he's going to be the next guest on the Racing Line podcast, and not the only guest that's coming up that's confirmed.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Brad's going to be the guest this week, and then yours truly is going to be the guest next week. So I'll get my turn in the fourth chair. Assuming, of course, Adam's going to be there, then it may be maybe the third chair if he's on baby duty or not. So we'll see how that all works out. Either way, I'm going to be there. It's going to be fun hanging out with Jason Green and Stevie Ray and or Adam, if he, like I said, if he's there or not. So yeah, gonna have a good time.
And as we are doing the little chats at this point, before we get the starting grid loaded up, should be noted that today's broadcast here of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors is sponsored by our boss man here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, Mr. Joshua Wilkie. Thank you, Josh, for making this broadcast. Now go out and get us some more goddamn shows to do. Let's get the starting grid loaded up here for the second race of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors season. I'm running a dangerous game. This may be my farewell show. Felix Samoa is going to start this race from the pole position in the number 31 car after a tough race at Lebanon 1 week ago, looking to be on the comeback tour. Maurizio Nazelli, who won at Lebanon 1 week ago, is going to join him on the front row. Starting right behind them is going to be the sparring partners from the Formula Fords in the form of Jason Green and Rasmus Rory. Starting in fifth is going to be Trent Kramer. Eric Luke will start in P6. We have Kane Lasky in 7th, Andre Favini in P8, Scott Russell in 9th, Jörg Mani going to round out your top 10, the pole sitter in the Masters category, and should be noted that Eric Luke is your pole sitter in Spec 2.
Yep, Kurt Nunez starts in P11. Claudio Gardini starts in P12. Daniel Kay starts in 13th. Jeff Fisher in 14th. Joseph Tarantino starting 15th. Tom Gradwell outside of row 8 in 16th. Dan Witzak in 17th. Leonard Geese in 18th. Joshua Flores in 19th. Aid Allen in 20th. Brad Cathcart starts in 21st. Charlie Vaccaro in 22nd. Good to see Charlie out here. Brad Gould in 23rd. Matt Thompson in 24th. So we roll up to finish this off. Jeff Jacobson in 25th. Flavio Andalo in 26th. Mario Crimser in 27th. Edgar Santinelli in 28th. Frito's Racing Team. The boss there, Michelle Biglini in 29th. Kate Halliburton starting in 30th. Looks like he's going to do the old back to front challenge. And Russ Telker rounds out your 31 car grid. And if you're looking for a job in broadcasting, you can write to Ron Has a Potty Mouth at slowmotionbroadcasting.com.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. If anyone would like to have my job here, that's gonna be a very fun job, and all that. Enjoy broadcasting. It's always a nice little thing. So, getting this formation lap up and rolling at the present moment, and bracing ourselves for what's going to be a really fun race here for the Spec Racer Ford. Haven't really talked about this at all, though, but the track conditions just about perfect. Relative humidity about 49%, so that's pretty all right. These drivers won't be driving through a bowl of soup. Ambient temperatures around 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temperatures around 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's damn near perfect for these cars. I think it's going to be a fun day, unless you get involved in an incident in lap 1, in which case it's probably going to be a very frustrating day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what they call Chamber of Commerce weather. Really, really good conditions out there on the track. Track temp's only 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So very, very cool. May take up a little bit longer to get the tires warmed up, which should be tricky on the first couple of laps. But, we got a really good group of drivers out here, so I don't expect just tons and tons of issues. Once we get everybody sorted out, I think we'll have us a good race.
Yeah, it is going to be a good one. 40 minutes of racing action coming up here at Magny. Cours, where have I seen this before? Hey, I'm a poet and I don't know it, but this is going to be a much different kettle of fish than what we saw in the Formula Fords earlier on. You're going to be seeing the draft play a much bigger factor, have a bigger field as well, and those pit stops I feel like are going to be a lot more treacherous. I don't know why. I have a feeling we're going to see either an incident on pit entry or an incident on pit exit. Second tries a charm.
yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Obviously, we got a couple of close calls on pit entry, not necessarily with traffic, but with just people not getting the car slowed down enough. It was very close on a couple of guys on pit entry, just making sure they were under the pit speed limit. And yeah, that pit exit made for a really interesting battle after our pit stops in the Formula Ford race, where you basically had the front runner coming out just almost dead even with the car that was running in P2, and so that'll make for a very interesting watch as we're going through this broadcast.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of stuff that we have to keep tabs on. These drivers battling this track and their competitors obviously going to be so important. The pit strategy going to be huge. This track, it's very unforgiving. You got the grass and the gravel. The old school runoff area going to create an old school feel in these old school race cars. It's going to be some fun, though. It's going to be a fun race, but it's also going to be treacherous for these drivers. And just looking through the schedule we've got for the Spec race reports, we have got some fun races to look forward to. Obviously, got kicked off 1 week ago with Lebanon, running here at Magny Cours today, here right at the end of March. And then looking through, we're going to be running at Spa in 1 week's time, Long Beach after that, Okayama, Donington Park, Red Bull Ring, Bathurst, Hungaroring, Phoenix. Yes, Phoenix International Raceway on the old school Roval, Silverstone, and then Oschersleben to bring this season to a close. So a wonderful batch of races to look forward to. About to get the second one of this season underway in a couple of moments time. That pace car come down pit lane. The field now in the hands of our pole sitter of Felix Samoas. The green flag is at, and the drivers are on their way. Let's see how it's going to work out for Samoa as he gets off to a very good restart. Nizelli jumped up to P2 as well. Most of the drivers at the front of the field deciding that now is the time to single file out. I think the entirety of this field is realizing, hey, no point going side by side heading off through the opening corners. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble with body parts from your race car and maybe even yourself strewn all around the racing surface. Believe me, you'll need to be a doctor to know that that is not ideal, but it's not ideal the position that Felix Samoas finds himself in right now. He's going to be a sitting duck heading down into turn number 5. Nizelli trying to get a move done on him into the braking zone. Looks like he'll be able to clear him. Jason Green on the inside line heading off through 5, trying to get some moves done as well. Rasmus Fiore involved in a battle with himself and Trent Kramer as there was a little bit of drama farther in the back. Some drivers going off and slowing down.
Yeah, there's a slowdown or two in the back as we see some cars being shuffled around. I'm trying to see if I can get a good eye on who we got here. Charlie Vaccaro all the way to the back of the grid. Looks like Brad Cathcart's involved. He's down 6 positions. Joseph Tarantino down 8. So yeah, there's a little bit of trouble down there, but I just noticed that it was like Jason Green had a pretty good run on the inside. It looked like maybe Naselli got a slowdown somewhere because he had to really just kind of back off and end up back down in third, but it gave Samoas a chance to get back out to the lead.
It worked out super well for him. Heading down into turn 14, seeing Scott Russell run a little bit wide, coming out of 13 there, taking a small little trip into that asphalt runoff area. Savor this view of the exit of turn 14 not being completely cluttered up with gravel, because have it be known, there's gonna be a complete swapperoo of that between now and the end of this race. It's like bringing a backpack to the beach. It could be a brand new backpack. You bring it to the beach for the first time, you won't be able to get the sand out of there for the next 50 years, no matter how hard you try. Josh Flores losing out on spots 8 out a little bit farther in the back. Michelle Vaglini dropping outside the top 30 as well. But the front of the field is Felix Samoas in front of Jason Green as we take a look to see some of that drama involving Charlie Vaccaro and others heading down into the Adelaide hairpin.
Yeah, we're on board here with Charlie Vaccaro. Oh, he just gets punted from behind and sent off into the grass and into the gravel. Did see some damage. I could not catch who was in that car. Maybe Michelle Vaglini, who's dropped to the back. So, yeah, Charlie was just wrong place, wrong time, and just kind of got pushed out offline.
I see a moment as well from Brad Cathcart. This, I believe, was his perspective and all that drama off through turn 5.
Yep. You're gonna have to call this one. Unfortunately, glitched out on the replay.
I think that timed out perfectly well for me, because right as it was glitching out for me, I passed it off to you, and it unglitched out for me. That was contact with Brad Cathcart, and that, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, was the 973 car of Joseph Tarantino. So that car, I think it's the... I always get confused, which, considering I'm a Philadelphian, is not very ideal. I think it's a Garden State Parkway that he has on that. So, as I joke about many times, that is a source of about 98% of the world's road rage, and unfortunate for those two to get involved in a tussle off through turn 5.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you could just see that was just geese a little bit deep there, and just locked the tires up on the inside and caused a little more. And maybe that was what caused the other contact as well, is people having to check up to avoid the car sideways in the corner.
As we're seeing this moment for Brad Gould, I was just going to say a couple of moments ago, the last time someone had as bad of an encounter with geese, I'm pretty sure I got chased up onto a park bench. Brad Gould in the 097 car getting a spin. That was another tap. It turned into like a little bit of a car show on the outside of turn number 5 there.
Yep. Yeah, it's just you can see that people just kind of stepping over, stepping each other's way there. That first time down into 14, and we saw some issues, but it looks like everybody's still out on the track and still running. So obviously we got a couple cars a bit off the back, but everybody's still out there. So there's plenty of chances to run some good clean laps, and especially you get out there in clean air and maybe make up a little bit of time. As we see the draft battles are starting to heat up. You can see the car on the inside there. That's the 27 car, I believe. Yep, indeed it is. Andrea Favini working to the inside. Is he going to make this pass all around? No, he's not. He's going to get stuck behind Claudio Gardini, just in front of Eric Luke, who had a good qualifying and started up in P6. And here's our Masters leader, Jorg Monty, running in P8. So he's up a couple positions since the start of the race. So he's having quite a good run to start with.
He is having a very good drive in that 924 machine. Don't want to jinx him too early, though, because that kind of happened in the Formula Fords. As we take a look to see a moment involving Flavio Andallo, this is heading down into turn number 5, which was clearly the trouble spot. I mean, I'm not going to say I called it, but I am going to say I called it. Whoa. Look at that. Holy cow. Wow. Okay. Clearly, the brake's not working too well in that. I'm pretty sure the other brake lines have as much pressure as, I don't know, an asthmatic coughing onto your arm there. That was not a good moment. Heading off into turn number 5, and we'll raise again that Andre Favini, he's being marked as your Spec 2 leader. He is a Spec 1 racer. Eric Luke, running in 6th at the moment in the 709 car, is a Spec 2 driver, so we'll hope to get that sorted out in the not too far off future. Eric Luke, who actually be sponsoring some of the upcoming broadcasts here for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, has been very quick in his time in the series, joined in for the final race of the season last time, and he is very quick in that 709 machine. So let's see how it's all going to shake out here. At the front of the field, though, we got Jason Green and Felix Samoa's back again side by side. This is going to be some fun stuff down into turn 5. How's it going to shake out? It's going to shake out with Jason Green losing P1, and Samoa is clearing him well before they even thought about breathing on that brake pedal.
Yeah, you start seeing these on a couple of these straightaways, especially down into turn 5. You're starting to see the draft working a bit. It's enabling these cars to get a good run and make a pass even before they get into the braking zone, which is always preferable. And so, yeah, it's going to be one of these, I think, where you'll see these top 4 cars here probably swapping positions every lap in some form or fashion.
As we're seeing this race go on, I just had a terrible idea pop into my head, which is me on a broadcast. Of course, it's going to be a terrible idea. What we need is we see Scott Russell involved in this pack in the New Jersey Turnpike car. We got the New Jersey Turnpike car and the Garden State Parkway car. What we need is a car that has a paint scheme commemorating the Atlantic City Expressway, which is one of the best highways in the country just because they have a John Bon Jovi service area. And let's take a look at a round of bumper cars all through turn number 5. That was Brad Cathcart in the 905 machine. Russell Tilker, those two tussling, coming out of the corner, and Cathcart going to hit the wall and get some airtime in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not really sure what happened there. Maybe Cathcart didn't realize that Telker was out there like he was trying to move to the outside and just got turned. And you know, I won't lay any blame. It's not my job. But a very interesting set of circumstances for that wreck there.
Yeah, unfortunate, just kind of snowballed out of control, and unfortunate for Cathcart, it was involved in that drama all through turn number 5, and is involved in some more drama coming out of turn number 5. At the front of the field, though, it is Jason Green. I think Felix and Moses had some sort of drama befall him as he's dropped down from the race lead all the way to 4th, still involved in that pack, but losing out on a boatload of time. Let's take a look at it there. There was a moment. Let's actually take a look at another replay of this Cathcart and Telker incident. You can see Telker really nowhere he could have gone there. It was just two cars fighting for the same piece of real estate. And if I'm being completely honest, I would put a little bit of that potentially on Cathcart.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of blame to go on both there. You know, Cathcart obviously was on the outside line. Telker, you know, once you're off track, you're not. It's not your line anymore. So you're not. I can't think of the word, so I'll come back to it. But anyway, it's not your line to have once you're off the track. You're not can't force your way back on. So like I said, I think there's a little bit of blame on both sides there. Could have just been a nice lift by Telker, and he could have just slotted back in behind Cathcart, and there would have been any contact. But I can understand once you get the racing going, it's hard to lift and coast a bit as you're back on board with the lead group here.
And we just saw a moment for Michelle Voglini at the bottom end of the circuit coming out of turn 15, as that's a moment from Jörg Magny from the lead in the Masters category. That's going to sting for the second time in this race. Magny gets involved in a collision that takes him out of the Masters lead. Let's see, heading down through Imola right now, he's got Andre Favini in the 27 car right in front of him. Favini runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 13, running about mid-track, and what really tripped him up there was the curb. Got him up to that race car, and then as soon as he gunned it out of the corner, he looped it around like a top.
Yep, just a little too hot back on the throttle and on the curbs. Car was not quite stable, and as we see Naselli moving down into the inside there to take that pass. As we're back on board here on a replay with Jeff Jacobson, already sees some damage on the left front there. As we're going to come through, and just way too much of that inside curb, and just nothing you can do at that point. Just holding the brakes and hoping that you don't hit the wall. So he's going to have to get back going. He's going to lose some time. Obviously, you can get the fast repair when he comes in for his pit stop. Pit should be open just almost. He's already in there now, so he's at the 10-minute mark. It may be possible to get to the end of the race at that point. It's going to be tough. It's going to be made to stretch a little bit, though.
Yeah, may need to pull off some miracles to try and make it to the end of this race. But that pit window certainly open. It may be a little bit of a tough ride, though, if you come into the pits at this point to be able to make it all the way to the checkered flag. But hey, I've seen stranger things. I'm not talking about the show that was on Netflix. Let's take a look at this moment for Kane Lasky. He's currently involved in a battle with himself and Eric Luke down into turn 14. Luke licking the stamp and sending it on the inside. That was a slick and brave move, and it's able to come up well for him. The 709 gonna be smelling like a rose out of that battle. Makes his way up into the top 5. He is your leader right now in the Spec 2 category in that 709 machine. A friendly reminder to anyone who hasn't tuned into this series before, you can tell. Whoa. Oh no, as that's Eric Luke spinning it, nearly coming out of the final chicane. Got a bad whack of the curbs in the Floridian. Nearly just ate it.
Yeah, he did, but great job to catch that car. He basically the same thing that we just saw with Jacobson a moment ago. Just clobbered that inside curb and just jumped the car up in the air. So we're going to get an onboard here. This is what Kane Lasky saw. Just both curbs and just lost the rear end, but manages to catch it and continue on. No damage by anybody, so nobody got hit. Yeah, just you can see it. It just way too much of that initial curb, and that just obviously got the car sideways. But like I said, great job to catch that, and not and great job everybody behind and not just pile into him.
You know, as we continue to see these moments that these drivers are having to face heading through that final chicane, the only thing that's popping to my mind is just the way that chicane is. This may be the most bizarre thing I've ever said on this this series on these shows here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. That final chicane here at Magny Cours, it's like the final chicane in the Wall of Champions section at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal with anger issues.
Yeah, I would say it's probably pretty close to that. I was actually thinking the Ford chicane at Le Mans, how it would just basically, if you catch those things, you're just headed to the wall. But yeah, Villeneuve is a very, very good analog, as well as we see a couple cars just taking the wide line coming out of there, and there's where the gravel is going to start coming into play as these cars rejoining the surface. They're going to start bringing gravel back onto the track, and it's going to make 14 that much more difficult.
Yeah, turn 14, it's been the trouble spot for these racers really all weekend. Even in the Formula V's, it was a bit of a trouble point, as I think something's going on with Trent Kramer. Let's take a look at it. He was involved in that front pack fight through the final chicane, with anger issues, and hits the curbs. I think no, he hit the barrier. I was going to say he avoided the barrier there for a second. He hit it. I think he got away with that rather scot-free, but let's take a look at this from Trent Kramer's perspective. It was like a bucking bull heading through this section.
Yeah, that's that first curb. It's that, if you take too much of that first one, it's basically you have nothing except, okay, now I'm just lined up for the second one, and where am I going to end up? So yeah, it didn't damage the car all that much as he kind of bounced off that soft wall there on the outside of the chicane, but took him out of that battle. He was having a really good run there in that lead pack battle with Naselli, Green, and Samoas.
As we see these drivers heading their way off through the 7 and 8 section of the Nürburgring. Always tough trying to figure out exactly where they are at there on the racetrack, considering that 7 and 8 and 12 and 13 look practically identical. And even the exits have that same little bit of curve there as well. It's a fun track, though. This, do not get me wrong, as we're going to take a look at a moment involving Russ Telker in the 260 car, heading his way down the back straightaway. See some side-by-side racing involving Rasmus Fiori, who had some sort of drama. So not entirely sure what went wrong for the Finnish driver, as Telker slideways through the corner, stops it before he goes for a total loop and loses that 2 spots in the process.
Yeah, Telker had that same issue, I think, in the Formula Ford race. He was struggling a little bit, and I don't think he hasn't quite got it worked out yet. As we see Kramer coming in, now this is interesting. He's going to come in, get his fast repair, take his fuel, now that he's out of that battle, and so now he's going to hope that he can get some clean track and run some really fast laps, or maybe get some draft help and pick up some extra tenths of a second. And so he's going to do the undercut maneuver. It seems to work out pretty well sometimes. And so we'll see if it works out today. So it's going to be just basically where's he going to come back out in the traffic, and who is he going to have to work his way through in order to move forward.
And touching back on some of the storylines that we saw develop a few moments ago, Trent Kramer, he is now out of this race in the number 20 car, dropping down the running order like a rock thrown out of a helicopter at full speed. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Yep. Currently classed in 27th, and will go no further in this race here at Magny Cours. Edgar Sancinelli is in the pits as we jump back to the action in Spec 2. Andre Vivini currently classed as your leader in the Spec 2 class. As we see a moment for Kane Lasky in the 09 car, the Flower Power car going through there. That was the moment for Eric Luke coming out of there. He was able to get away without any further incident. Didn't get hit as he was stopped on the outside of the corner. Granted, his tires were turned into rectangles, but Eric Luke probably counting his lucky stars. He's still even in this race.
Yeah, for sure. And I just noticed that Russ Telker just towed, so that's probably going to be day done. I hate that Trenton just gave up. That would have been fun to watch him kind of work his way up through the field. I did see Jeff Frischer also came into the pits. And it looked like a standard stop for him, so he gave up the Masters class lead to go ahead and get his pit stop early, and so we'll see if he comes out and how he can work his way up through the field.
Still a lot of fighting left to be undertaken for these drivers in this. Oh my God, who was that in the back of shot? They were nose down to the ground. I think that may have potentially been Dan Witzak in the 113 car, I think that
I
was.
think you're right.
Either way, you know it's a bad thing in a Spec Racer Ford car. We're heading through a track with not a lot of elevation change. You can see the back end of the car about 5 farther feet up in the air compared to the front end. Oh, golly.
Yeah.
My back hurts just looking at these drivers heading through that chicane.
Yeah, that chicane is starting to become an issue for a lot of these drivers out there. You can see that it's a very fine line to extract the most amount of speed out there. It only takes a few inches either direction to either have you offline for the first part of the chicane or jumping the curbs into the chicane. So probably won't be the last time we see that. I just see what happens with these front group as they're still battling 3 deep. They've kind of got a big gap, but in P4, already 26 positions up. Kane Halliburton has just cut his way through the field, as you say, Ron, like a hot knife through butter.
And touching on a thing that I saw in the YouTube chat, first off, Adam, yes, I did say a rock thrown out of a helicopter at full speed. What that entails, I have no idea, but I said it anyways. Trent Kramer also saying in the YouTube chat that his iRacing crashed on him, so that was not a conscious decision to can it for him in this race. And I will not comment on iRacing's optimization difficulties or potentially lack thereof. I would quite like to be able to keep my job. But I will say, as you can see, Kane Lasky, he had a moment. He's had to tow back to pit lane. I think that may have been a reason why that was the case. Sideways, slideways through the Imola section. Be careful on the rejoin here. Okay, getting through there rather scot-free. You can see the gravel being dragged onto the racetrack. Rejoined it enough for gravel to be put on the track, but did not rejoin it to continue on in this race any longer. I was just going to say on the subject of the computer issues there for Trent Kramer, there's a very good reason why my PC is a completely different room than where my computer monitor is. Otherwise, you would not be able to hear my voice on the microphone. It would just sound like I'm doing a broadcast from the intake of a jet engine.
Yeah, I understand completely. I've get the fans a going. So yeah, I completely understand. And yeah, that's what you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear a competitor having some kind of hardware or software issues that keeps them from racing. That's just a tough way to get out of the race, and I hate it for Trenton because he was having a really good run.
As we jump back to the live action and find Tom Gradwell in the lead in the Masters category. The 909 car put on a pretty solid performance at the present moment, but still got Jörg Magny involved in all of that. Despite that moment we saw for him heading off through, I believe it was turn number 14 earlier on. Magny back in contention, running in 12th overall as it stands at the present moment, P2 of the Masters competitors. That would be a very good performance for him. As we go back to the front of the field and find Jason Green in the race lead in front of Maurizio Nazelli in P2, and Felix Samoa is running at your overall podium as it stands at the present moment, running at that 3-car pack at the north end of the field in the process. Eric Luke and Scott Russell giving us a good battle for the final spot inside of the top 5. That's Eric Luke, your current leader in the Spec 2 category. We're going to take oh wow, boy howdy. We're going to take a look to see a moment involving Tom Gradwell in the 909 car. This is off through Imola, got held up a little bit. That was a 518. Very slow on the outside of the corner, and no. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a tough way to wake up there, Tom, is get out here for your Monday morning weekend Warriors race, and just thought you had the car cleared, and the 518 car decided I'm going to kind of push a little bit and see if I can make up some time and just clip the rear of the car as from that offline, position, trying to make the corner there.
Yeah, that was just a messy incident. It was Joshua Flores in the 418, not the 418, the 518 car. I was 100 off, but that was just an unfortunate incident involving the two of them. Tough luck there for Tom Gradwell. Finds himself in 13th at the moment, losing out on the Masters lead in all of that drama. We're past the halfway mark now in the final 18 minutes of this race. As I move away from the microphone, I think there may have been a moment involving Alan McCain. And Charles, I think I'll pass it off to you because quick lesson to
All right.
broadcasters out there, swallow before you speak.
Or no problem. So we're back on board with the lead group. Jason Green in front, Naselli second, Samoa's in third, and they've been swapping this positions back and forth. It seems like there's some good draft possibilities, and that's allowing those guys to just kind of race each other and have a little fun while they're out there. Kane Halliburton still trying to work his way up. He is running just monster pace. He is about somewhere around 0.8 of a second faster than the lead pack. Even with them drafting each other and passing each other, he is absolutely on a tear. Last time by 152.56. Jason, the fastest of the group was Samoas with a 153.19. So 0.7 of a second thereabouts with these faster than this lead group. So he's coming. Now, where they're going to have enough, he's got 17 minutes left in the race. Whether he's going to have enough time to make up a 12-second gap remains to be seen, but he's definitely going to give it the old college try, as they say.
And that he certainly.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, I think my larynx has finally decided to unscrew itself as Daniel Case having a moment heading all through Imola, goes super wide into 12 and goes super wide on the exit at turn 13 as well. That's the thing with that section, along with the 7 and 8 section as well, and many other corners around this racetrack. You get it wrong on entry for the first part, come time for the second part, you're going to be even more screwed than you could even imagine. So that's just a case of a typical off-track excursion heading off through that section. The 12 and 13 and 7 and 8 sections, I kind of mentioned this earlier on, you got the same formula. On paper, there's just about two sections that pretty much mirror each other, but in terms of the elevation change and the curbs around that section as well, it just creates a completely different driving experience, which is a bit of a mental roadblock for these drivers who are just getting their first taste of this place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it just seems like there's just a battle. It's just sometimes it's a battle just to stay on the track. So I wanted to throw something out. I was looking on Instagram today, and I noticed there was a sim event yesterday, and it was called the Team USA Talent Scout event, and it was a 90-minute race at Sebring. And I wanted to give a shout out to one Mr. Josh Soto, who we see frequently in the Ray Esports series, who won the event. So congratulations to Josh. Great job as we're back on board here with Brad Gould, taking the gravel excursion there, doing a little rally track action. But congrats to Josh. Fantastic sim racer, so well deserved.
Yeah, Josh, a very fast driver, and he's done pretty well in the Ray Esports Club Racing League, which for 2 more weeks you'll be able to catch here on Slow Motion Broadcasting before we bring all of those seasons to a conclusion. Group 1 done and dusted. Those 7 races that started all the way back in October have now been taken care of. So got Group 2 and Group 3 left, so 3 more champions to be decided in the Ray Esports Club Racing League that you can catch on Wednesdays here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But here for Sunday afternoon, it's still a heads-up fight between 3 of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors best, Jason Green, Maritza Naselli, and Felix Samoas. Green and Naselli, they've been around the block battling before, and Naselli and Samoas have been around the block battling before, and Samoas and Green battled for the championship last season. So no strangers to each other are these racers, and that's going to create a really good battle. The best of the best battling for a trophy.
Yep. As we're on board here with Leonard Geese, and we're coming into that last chicane. Let's see what he does. Oh, yep, same. Too much curb on the entry, and bounces across, and luckily able to at least get the car stopped before he gets to the wall. Oh, the leaders are all in the pits now.
And there we go. Samoas, Naselli, Green, Halliburton, and Claudio Gradini, along with Eric Luke from the lead in Spec 2, all going to decide that now is the time to pit. Scott Russell and the number 22 machine finds himself in the race lead, which is a momentous occasion. The first time the New Jersey Turnpike has been listed as anything in number 1. So that's a good performance from him. Currently up 8 spots from where he started in this race. Flavio and Dallo up 20. Well done from him. Of course, still in the midst of this pit cycle. I wonder how it's all going to shake out. Jason Green, Felix Samoas, and Maritza Naselli all out and away, and Jason Green actually pulling away, so the professor doing the numbers, crunching the numbers, and getting away from his competitors with that round of pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great battle here as we see with Jason Green getting the jump on Naselli and Samoas coming out of the pits. I want to see the gap as once we get back and get circled around the gap between them and Halliburton. See if he managed to make up any time. I'm kind of looking down the timing and scoring, and it looks like it was pretty even as far as their stoppage times. So I'm not sure if he managed to, if anything, he will have made up some time probably on pit entry and pit exit outside the cones, just because he's a phenomenal driver and he knows how to do things like that far more than I do for sure.
When it comes to speaking about my own prowess or lack thereof on the sim rig, genuinely, I think me in the sim rig, I show even less coordination than my mother did the one time she snapped her ankle going figure skating. So I am not a very talented sim racer. Good reason I'm usually behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel. As Scott Russell, I think he's going to come into the pits right about now. Hey, I called that. There we go. I know things from time to time. That's the first time I've called anything accurately. For the first time in my entire broadcasting career, Andre Favini has had a moment of his own. I think he went for a half spin coming out of turn number 15. He was mega slow exiting that corner. Yeah. Jason Green going to re-inherit the race lead. Felix Samoa's right in tow in P2. And Martin Naselli rounding out your podium runners as it stands currently in third. Eric Luke, I believe, will be able to retake the lead in Spec 2 as a result of all this drama, as we take a look to see the drama that befell the number 27 of Favini.
Yeah, let's see as they were coming down here into turn 14. Just too much speed carrying through, could not get the corner. And you can see just right there at pit entry, it was pretty easy. Maybe, well, I say it's easy. I'm sitting up here talking about it, but it's he definitely made him a little mistake there. Cost him a second probably or something like that. Just trying to get the car corralled back up, but definitely slow on the pit entry there. We're back to this front battle as we're coming through. Green, Samoas, Naselli. Probably won't be the last time that those positions have changed, and we've got about 10 minutes left to go in this race.
Only 10 minutes left on the clock. Only a couple more laps left for these racers as well. And for the likes of Felix Samoas and Naselli, you're going to have to start wondering where you can get a move done. Obviously, if you have a good understanding about your car's pace, definitely gotta have a good understanding of where you can get the moves done. But around a racetrack like this, what are the good overtaking opportunities that these racers are going to use? Don't think turns number 1, 2, and 3 are really a good spot unless there's some sort of mistake. Turn 5 probably going to be a good spot at the end of that long flat ad blast. This corner, turn number 15, maybe going to be a good overtaking opportunity at the end of this race. Could very well see the race be decided with a move heading off into turn 15 at the very end. And hoping we don't see a change in lead coming to take the checkered flag as a result of someone just looking at the curbs the wrong way, heading through the Montreal chicane with anger issues, as we have now called it on this broadcast. But outside turn 5 and turn 15, there's only a couple more spots left to try and overtake. I think the likes of turn 7 and 8, maybe turn 14 if you're lucky, and turn 9 if you maybe break those elbows out somewhat.
Yeah, I think 14 might be possible, but once again, we've seen so many people have issues just getting the car wrapped around the corner the proper way. That may not be the best move, but you're going to look for that long straightaway where you can get a good draft and then make the move. Hopefully, you don't get blocked out and you get that run down on the inside of the inside line to try and get the corner. 14 maybe, like I said, maybe possible, but like I said, it's been so tricky to get through 14 successfully that as we see a replay here, and this is Jeff Jacobson getting himself back onto the track, and he just missed the corner completely. I'm not sure. Was he maybe he was letting Halliburton go through? That's what he was doing. He'd been lapped and was just allowing Halliburton to work his way through. So great sportsmanship there for Jeff to just give up the racing line and let Halliburton work his way through that gap. Halliburton has closed that gap down to 11.3. As we see now, it's changed again. This is 11.8. But within 12 seconds. So we'll see if Halliburton can make up some time. His lap times are still better than the lead three, but they're still, but it has not, the gap is a little bit smaller than it was. It's only down to about a 3/10 of a second advantage. We see Charlie Vaccaro there, Kurt Nunez having a little bump there coming through the corner that seems to be catching everybody.
That was a picnic, I think, would be the correct technical term, coming at turn number 5. And despite the fact it's still very close to the front of the field, I'll break away from the racing action and say absolute credit where credit's due to Sarah Thompson. She is still in the YouTube chat, still watching this race, despite the fact that she is presently in labor. I guess that's a good strategy in terms of playing entertainment in the delivery room. There's only one more thing that is more painful than childbirth, and that is tuning into a broadcast that I'm on as we see side-by-side racing between Felix Samoas and Jason Green for this race lead. Less than 7 minutes left to go. These drivers realize that it is crunch time. Samoa's going to hold on to the race lead. Maurizio Nazelli, though, in the number 44 car, I think he's strategizing at the moment. He's seeing Samoas and Green trade blows, trade paint, and throw haymakers at each other. He's just quietly lurking in the background and waiting for time to pounce.
I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think he's just waiting for the right opportunity. Obviously, if you're going to try and make that move, you want to do it as late as possible to not give the other car a chance to return the favor. As we're on board here, oh, and there we go again. Another set of curbs, another car, another day, another dollar. Brad Gould getting it righted and back out onto the track and headed the right direction.
These drivers having a real tough time of things here at Magny Cours. It's a track that, as we mentioned in that Formula Ford broadcast, doesn't get a whole lot of use on iRacing. This is only my fourth broadcast here at this track, and based on the fact it's my second today and my third in the past 2 days, really shows you that this track does not get a lot of use at all. And I will say, as we're seeing this race enter its closing stages, Kane Halliburton running in fourth, a hard charger by far, 26 spots gained for the Jamaican. That 12 car is a man on a mission.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a great run. As we kind of expected, he's obviously a fantastic driver. So we see Mario Crimser taking a different curb, and he said, you know what, I enjoyed that so much, I'm going to take that corner again just for the heck of it, back out and righted, and you can just see the curbs are dealing death here today.
Side by side, maybe gonna flare up between these racers in the smaller flat out blast between turn number 5 into turn number 7. That small little kink in the road is technically turn number 6. You can tell the motorcycles running around here. It's a small little kink in the road. Yep, it's a corner. We'll mark it as such. As I feel like that'll start a whole nother discussion in its own regard. But I think we'll refrain from that. Keep the two-wheel fans on our side for now and go back to this action involving Eric Luke, Claudio Gradini, and Rasmus Rory.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a nice battle here for P5 through P7. Eric Luke, obviously Spec 2, having himself quite the great run. He's a 5-position gap over Favini in P10. As we're back on board here with this lead group, Naselli has moved up to third, so he's taken a chance, got a good run, and is able to pick up that spot. Once again, 4 minutes left in this race. We're going to get the replay here. And as we're looking here, Samoa's just really wide. So he just maybe locked up that inside tire on the front. Just maybe locked up, and he just had to take the escape route there a little bit. And or is he playing a strategy game and wanting to kind of run from the back? We'll see. That to me, that looked like it was just a lockup that he had to recover from. But once again, we'll see how it all shakes out. Obviously, still in contention for a win here. He's just the back of this group.
I mean, throwing a race intentionally, or at least throwing the race lead intentionally, that'd be an interesting strategy. I mean, who knows? He may be trying to make it work. Didn't lose out on a whole lot of time in that mistake. But hey, I've seen stranger things in the world of motorsports, and we're seeing some side-by-side racing going on involving Nazelli and Jason Green. I have a feeling that if I talk more about any sort of intentional wrecking, I'm going to get onto the subject of Crashgate, which is neither here nor there. So I think we're going to swiftly and abruptly move on and talk about Nazelli and Samoa. Jason Green now getting shuffled back down to third. just going to raise that in terms of these drivers' pace and what they're setting, rather evenly matched. In terms of these front three, I think it's anyone's race to win.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right. And just as I look up, King Halliburton set the fastest lap of the race, 152.25. Only a quarter second faster than Naselli that last lap. But he's still coming, and so he's still closing the gap down. It's now under 10 seconds. But yeah, I do remember a Ray Esports race that we did one night at Homestead in the Spec Racers, where the cars, I believe, were like 4 seconds 4 seconds slower on the last lap, as nobody wanted to lead going that last straightaway onto the oval. They went, contact between Allen and Gradwell coming down into, I think, is that 14 or is that either way? That's not the line there, Aid. That's get you back around here. Yep, there we go. Now we're heading the right direction. That
remember when Kimmy?
It looked to be a cutoff road, but it had a tire wall at the end of it.
Yeah, that I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, is the old shortcut layout between turns number 5, the hairpin of Adelaide, and turn 14, whose French pronunciation I will dare try it. Even at all. If you give me $1,000, I don't think I would try some of the French name pronunciations around this racetrack. It's side-by-side racing. Contact being made between Samoas and Naselli, giving him a slight nudge down into turn number 15. I was just going to say one more thing in reference to Aid trying to take that short track layout. Remember when Kimi Räikkönen got lost at the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2012? We may have had a similar case of that, but 12 is the amount of tenths of a second between Felix Samoas and Jason Green. He's built that gap up now to about a second. This is looking very good for Samoas.
Yeah, I think Naselli took way too much of that curb and slowed him down coming through the final chicane, and Green was behind him. Was able to get a run to get around him, but it just has put a gap between Samoas in first and Green in second.
Yeah, that is going to be a comfortable cushion for Felix Samoas to find himself holding on to. It'll be the double, which will be a very good day in the office for him. Jason Green currently locked steady in a very close battle with himself and Maurizio Naselli for the final spots on the podium. Jason, I will make this recommendation, and this is audacious from me considering that he's a very good driver and I'm a mediocre broadcaster. Try and take it a little bit easy heading through the chicane. Don't want to pick up another late race slowdown and pick up another penalty in the process. But Naselli going to try and get a move done on him heading down into the chicane, but Felix Samoa is going to win this race, and it happened again. Green losing it heading through that chicane. Jason Green going to cross that start-finish line in reverse, and I think he's going to be very happy to see the back end of that chicane. The Montreal corner with anger issues, striking one of the nicest guys on the track.
Yeah, absolutely tough way to end that race. As we see another battle to the line, and they all made it through cleanly. Eric Luke takes P5, Viore in 6th, Gardini in 7th.
Oh God, Jason's still going backwards. We may need to ride on board with him in all this. I'm fully expecting him to get whacked the crap out of. And all that, Jeff Richter is your winner in the Masters category, and Eric Luke takes a checkered flag as your winner in Spec 2. As we take a look at some more cars waiting to cross the start-finish line, one of them being Joshua Flores, and stopping on the track is your Spec 2 class winner of Eric Luke, deciding to take the escape chute over to pit lane before we see any sort of shenanigans at the end of this race. As much as Felix Samoas, credit to him, winning this race by 1.9 seconds, grabbing a second win of the day. And if it wasn't for a spin in the Formula V's yesterday, he really could have swept it here at Magny Cours. Jason Green may have a mortal enemy in the form of the final chicane here at Magny Cours.
Yeah, it's I could not tell if that was induced by the chicane or if that was just because it was side by side with Naselli going through there as well. So it might have been a little bit of both, but still great battle there at the end of the race. Unfortunately, we didn't get the replay here. Green on the inside, on the left. Yep, and that's all it was. It was just contact and no place really for Green to go except over the curb. And that's hard racing. I'm not sure what you can say about that other than just that it was just hard racing and it was people battling for a little spot on the track to get through the final chicane. And just over the curb and around he goes. and says, you know what, I'm not even going to bother turning it back around. I'm just going to go through backwards. And we get to see the fourth place finisher of Halliburton come through the finish line as well.
And Kane Halliburton got to be the hard charger at the end of this race by a considerable margin, 26 spots gained. The next hardest charger is Flavio Andallo, who finished 13th, up 13 spots from where he started at the end of this race. So double the competition. That is a brilliant performance from him at the end of all this, as we see Jason Green. I have an idea for what these drivers should do in a couple of weeks for Easter Sunday. Not only should they paint their cars up like a bunch of Easter eggs, I think they should also just hide around this track at some point just to see if we can spot them anywhere around here. I mean, granted, we have the benefit of chase cameras and onboard cameras and all that jazz, but still, that'll be a rather fun exercise, I believe. Whoever wins the Easter egg hunt for the Spec Racer Fords or the Formula Vs or the Formula Fords wins, I don't know, a million jelly beans. That'll be the reward for them at the end of all this. Either way, though, I'm petrified to see what Jason Green has up his sleeve.
Yeah, let's see what we're going to do here. Oh, that's a nice little corner.
Oh, God, okay. Oh, no. Okay, I see what's going on here. They kind of had a little bit of a choke point and got vaulted over the barrier in the process of all of that. Andre Favini far away from all that. Oh, look at who stopped
good.
on the... Oh, yeehaw. I'm more concerned of who's stopped on the pit wall. That's Kurt Nunez, I think. Is he going to get popped off? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, not sure. It's like just everybody's piling in and just, a standard ending to a weekend Warriors race, especially in the Spec Racers. Kurt Nunez, the glitching of the iRacing physics model has crescendoed as he gets the rear clip back, and the iRacing just spits it back off the back of the car as the tires are running around like yo-yos on crack. So it's it's a fitting end to a great race. It's been a great day of racing all around. Some great battles up front, and it's been really enjoyable to be here and watch this.
Not touching that one. Felix Samoa is going to be your winner at the end of this race here at Magny. Cours, he wins by 1.9 seconds over Maurizio Nazelli in second. Jason Green going to round out your podium in third, finishing this race backwards at the end of it all. Kane Halliburton was nowhere near backwards all throughout this race. If anything, he was going the most forward of anybody. 26 spots gained. Started in 30th, ends up in 4th. Yeah, I can do some math from time to time. Eric Luke going to win it in the Spec 2 category, finishing in 5th. In front of Claudio Gradini, finishing in 6th. Rasmus Vori in 7th. Scott Russell and P8. Jeff Fritcher wins it in the Masters category, finishing in 9th. With Andre Favini rounding out your top 10. Jörg Magny, Dan Witzak, Flavio Andallo, Daniel Case, and Joshua Flores round out the first half of the field.
Yep, Matt Thompson is in 16th. Tom Gradwell gets the last spot in Masters in 17th. Aid Allen 18th, Kurt Nunez in 19th, Joseph Tarantino in 20th, Brad Gould 21st, Edgar Sancinelli in 22nd, Leonard Geese in 23rd, Charlie Vaccaro 24th, Mark Kremser in 25th, Brad Cathcart 26th, Michelle Baglini in 27th, Jeff Jacobs in 28th, Kane Lasky, great first race, not so memorable second race, finished in 29th, Trenton Kramer, we'll get that right, finishes in 30th with hardware issues. And rounding out your field, the man who does not ever want to come back to Magny Cours, Russ Telker, a day to forget, unfortunately for Russ, finishing out in 31st in the last car on the finishing order.
So those are going to round out your results at the end of this race here at Magny Cours. A race won yet again by Felix Samoes. Where have I seen that scene before? We've got some drivers waiting up there in the interview waiting area, and I'm going to save our race winner of Felix Samoes for you, Charles. I'm going to have a quick little chat with our P3 finisher, and considering how he finished this race, I will say it's Green Jason joining us in the commentary booth. So Jason, before we get this interview started, I'm going to ask you, if you had to describe the final chicane here at Magny Cours, what words would you use?
Oh, I mean, whenever I don't have a good race here, it's always because of only that chicane. That's the only place I ever have an issue. I think that was the was counting them earlier. I think that's the 6th race this week where I've been side by side on the last lap to there. I think 4 times it worked and 2 times it didn't. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's certainly a chicane on a racetrack for sure. I described it as basically being like the version of the Wall of Champions chicane at the end of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but with anger issues. It's such a clunky chicane heading through there, and really, even from my experience driving around here myself, I never really enjoyed it. But overall for you, it's a pretty good race, walking away with P3 at the end of it. So talk us through the Spec Racer Ford race in its entirety.
Yeah, it was largely once we broke away. I think we had the top 4 we got to break away, so I was able to take the lead, try to get some bonus points without slowing us down too much. I was surprised that Maurizio and Felix didn't save as much fuel, or save way more fuel than me. I was surprised they came out first after the pits, and then tried to stay in front of Felix because he was so much faster through the last chicane than me, and a lot more courage than I did, so I couldn't get back to him once he got past me into the first hairpin. So yeah, it was a great battle. The SRFs are a lot of fun around here. Lots of corners where you can go too wide without interlocking wheels or anything like the Formula Fords or the Vs, and yeah, lots of potential for good battles. So it was a lot of fun. Battling Maurizio and Felix again.
Yeah, it just looked really fun for all of you. I mentioned earlier on talking about how all of you have been around the block before when it comes to the Weekend Warriors. So nice to see some WW veterans running there at the front of the field. But Jason, I'm going to ask you about the next race of this season. Going to be running at Spa in 1 week's time on the bike layout, which I only got a chance to see a couple of days ago running in an AI race on my own accord. Not a layout that's used a lot. It's really, I think, the newest version of a layout at Spa, so that's going to be a bit of an oddity. I mean, most of the tracks know, but that that little tightening weird, I'm not even sure the best way I can describe it. It's certainly going to be a fun race, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Spa is always wild. It's a huge draft track in the SRFs, so yeah, it'll be it's always just a game of waiting till they come all straight and seeing who can be in front out of Lacombe, and then who makes it to the bus stop first out of Stavolo. So yeah, I haven't actually driven the bike corner yet. I guess no name dash B. We'll go with that. So yeah, I just have to learn one corner and know the rest of the track pretty well. So yeah, it should be a great broadcast. The races are always intense there, and if we have the same field as today, then it should be some great racing.
We'll call it No Name 2.0 from here on out.
There you go.
That's what we're going to use it. So, Jason, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth. Well done on the podium. And before we let you go and get together those highlights reels for the Racing Line podcast this upcoming Tuesday, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Shout out to Michelle Lynn, as always, for helping me with setups. Not only in this car, I've gotten her addicted to setting up some other cars too. So let's go, Michelle. Love you. Shout out to Stevie as well for putting these leads together, and shout out to the other 30 plus people we had today. Magny Cours isn't the most popular track, even though it's a fantastic track. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, shout out to everybody that came out. It wouldn't be anything. This league wouldn't be anything without them. So shout out to everybody.
Oh, and actually, before we let you go here, Jason, getting a thing in the other YouTube chat, a question from a certain Adam Thompson, who asks, what is your favorite type of food? I feel like this is a running joke that I may have missed out on.
I don't know how to answer that. Let's go with Italian, I guess.
It's the most loaded question I think I've ever asked you.
Yeah, let's go with Italian. Chinese food's good too. Thai food's good. I mean, food's good in general. I'm not really picky.
Fingers crossed we'll have a chat with you next week for the Spec Racer Forward so we can get some more food opinions from you. But Jason, thank you for joining us in the comment. I'm not sure what Adam was getting at there, but I saw him there. You know, I figured I would throw that question your way. But Jason, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the P3, and excited to see you back out on the track later on this season.
Meow you later.
Meow indeed. That right there was Jason Green, your P3 finisher at the end of this race. And Charles, I'll let you take dibs on who you want to have a chat with next.
Let's bring our race winner in, Felix Amoas, and then we'll let you have the honor of the Spec 2. Felix, congratulations. 2 for 2 today. Two really good, really hard battles up at the front of the pack.
Yes, definitely. Today was a very good day. I like this. I'll have more. Yeah, it was a great race. It was unfortunate that Trenton had that bad luck at the last chicane. I hate that part of the track. Other than that, again, so the races on the SRF are always, I mean, the race only starts basically after the pit stop. Until then, it's just be patient, don't do mistakes. If there is a breakaway group, try not to lose time to be as further in front as possible. Then after the pit stop, that's when the race actually starts. And so 3 very well versed people on racing in the front after the pit stop. Me, Jason, and Maurizio, we kept it clean, and I think it was a very good race until the end.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We did hear from Trenton, came into the YouTube chat and said that, he basically clobbered the curbs at chicane so bad that iRacing kicked him out of the system. So had a software failure, unfortunate, because obviously was having a really good run up there running with you guys. And it seemed like the biggest issues obviously today, obviously we talked about the chicane, how it's, you just have to be almost, inch perfect there every lap coming through. If you take too much, you're basically flying, at least for a small period of time. But then for whatever reason, turn 14 seemed to be an issue in both races. Did you do you have any problems, or can you identify what people may be experiencing going through that corner?
You have to help me. Turn 14, which one is it?
So it's the hard hairpin to the right, just before pit entry.
Okay, okay. I did not have any problem. I was not aware that there was a problematic corner for many people. Actually, now that you mention it, I saw a couple of guys going wide and in the gravel, but I never had any problems there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that last section of this track, I mean, they've changed it throughout the years, like 2 or 3 different configurations, and I don't understand that chicane in that section, because normally you use chicanes to slow down the cars to be less dangerous, but after a sharp corner, I mean, then a chicane right afterwards before the main straight, it's just that cause problems anyway, but it is what it is.
Yep. So next week, Spa in the bike layout, which is a little different, obviously, with the I'm going to call Ron out here. It's the Jackie X corner is the name of that tight corner there where no name is.
Jackie X 2.0. There we go.
There you go. So what are your thoughts about that? From my experience, the Spa races in the Spec Racer are just absolutely fantastic. Always really tight finishes at the end.
Yes, because it's a very strong draft track. So because you have like at least 3 points of draft, so 2 strong one. Yeah. So the camel straight and after the combo, whatever the name, until the bus stop. So again, I last season I had a very good pace at Spa. Let's see how it goes this season. I lost it in the last corner to Anders Plever. Let's see if this year I have a bit more luck. Yeah, right. I'm looking forward to it. I like the track and.
Awesome. Well, Felix, congratulations. 2 for 2 today. We'll see you next week, and we'll let you. If you have anybody else you want to thank, we'll let you do that before you go.
No. As usual, everybody taking place, the guys behind the scenes are organizing so that everything runs good. You guys in the commentary. Oh, and Kane for not qualifying, because otherwise we would have no chance of winning. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Felix, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Okay, guys. No.
There we go.
The end of this race, and wow, Felix getting 2 for 2, and I gotta say, Charles, we kind of ran into this problem with Mr. Jörg Magny, the janitor, as we called him throughout season 1 of 2025. We're going to get to the point where we need to start asking him other questions instead of this. If there's anything he wants to give a thanks or a shout out. Otherwise, he's going to come on Cleese and start thanking Mother Teresa. Just go through the list of every single person that's ever existed in the world. But yeah, well done to Felix on the double here today. And switching our attention to Spa for the next round of this championship, running on that bike layout with the change on the back end of the circuit, the Jackie X 2.0 corner that these drivers will have to try and learn. That's going to be an odd one, but still going to be a draft fest, because despite that corner, it's still Spa.
Yeah, I think some of the closest finishes we've ever had in Formula Ford, and that's saying something, or I'm sorry, in Spec Racer. And that's saying something, has been at Spa. We've had finishes that were just milliseconds between a couple of cars. So it's a great track, obviously historic in nature. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch to get on the bike layout. It's going to make obviously that corner section a little bit different. So maybe it catches a few people out. You never can tell. But yeah, it's going to be fun races, because it's always a fun race when we're in the Weekend Warriors. And so I just want to say, because I haven't been in the YouTube chat, but congrats to the Thompsons and to Mrs. Thompson. Stop procrastinating. Get that kid out. Let's go.
That's it's kind of in the same vein of me thanking our SMB boss, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, by just saying, thank you for making this broadcast possible, Josh. Now go out and got some goddamn broadcast for us. But hey, I mean, we all like to have a good time here at SMB. And have it be known, the action doesn't even end for today. Coming up later on this evening, we've got the action from XSLR and just a whole lot of stuff to look forward to here on SMB practically every single day on the final push to get to 1,000 subscribers. Now only 19 away. Let's get that done. Hey, if we play our cards right, we may be able to get that done by the end of the month, by the end of tomorrow. But as for this broadcast for the Spec Racer Forward Weekend Warriors round number 2 of the season at Magny Cours, I think that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi doing a wonderful job working on the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you also very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we'll hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.